Well, hey everybody, it's Todd here again, and I'm here with David Smith from the Mississippi Hunting Dog Association. I'm gonna let David introduce himself, and we're gonna go from there.
Thank you. Yeah, of course, my name is David Smith. I'm president of the Mississippi Hunting Dog Association, and I live Poplarville, Mississippi, which is about 40 miles from the coast in South Mississippi. And I don't know how many years. I can't keep up with the years. Dozen or so years I've been president. Um, I've been affiliated with the Mississippi Hunting Dog Association since about 91, 92. I started going to our state meetings years ago with some older fellas and stayed involved with it, and been still trying to keep our dog rights running in the state of Mississippi.
I hear you. So, so what kind of hunting do you do there in Mississippi, David?
Well, I love, of course, deer hunting, and I love running foxhounds, fox and coyotes, and I've been, I guess, doing that, since the early '90s also. And but we kind of stay affiliated with all the dog hunters in the state, whether they coon hunt, rabbit hunt, squirrel hunt, even the bird hunters and retrieving dogs. We try to stay in contact with all them, and of course with all the fox hunters and the deer hunters.
Right. That's what I'm seeing across the board from most of the organizations. There, everybody comes together, and that's what
Yeah,
it's all about, really. And that's what we need to do nationally is come together as well. You know, um, we got a bill in the U.S. House of Representatives right now, and I'm ashamed to say it, but my representative for my district is one of the people that signed off on it, and I ain't giving him no free pass on it either. But
right.
the Greyhound bill was filed, and it was pretty much dead on arrival. They knew it wasn't going to go anywhere, so they took the wording out of the Greyhound bill and stuck it into the Farm Bill, and that's where my representative came in. He voted to put it in there, and we're
Yeah,
doing our best to get it taken back out. But that
yeah,
wording is horrible. It's any dog in an open field coursing event. So basically, rabbit hunting, fox hunting, deer hunting, that's all gone. And then the training on live animals that takes care of your bird dogs. It takes care of pretty much any type of hunting with a dog. It's going to outlaw.
right. Yeah, yeah. I was in contact last week with some of the South Carolina guys, Mike Carr, and me and him discussed that. We've been trying to get the word out all to everybody across our state to see if we can't get all of our congressmen. We had phone calls into a lot of them, see if we can get that eliminated. But yeah, it's got too much broad spectrum wording in it. Even some of the stuff we was reading, even transporting
That's
um,
right.
dogs. It's just got too much vague. It could hurt pretty much anything you do with a hunting dog.
Well, it could even get your pet dog. I mean, if your pet beagle decided to chase a rabbit one day or run a squirrel or something, you could run afoul of this law. It's
Yeah,
it's really bad law, and it really
right.
doesn't have any business in the agriculture bill in the first place.
I agree. I agree 100%. Yeah, anything that pursues by scent is what it had in the bill, and I mean that's pretty much all you hunting dogs there.
Yes,
So
sir, sure is. So, what kind of other stuff you guys got going in Mississippi? I talked to Lonnie. Lonnie's how I got in touch with you, your neighboring state over there.
yeah, well, it seems like we constant battle with our national forests, and we've had problems with our wildlife and fisheries. I really don't understand some of the things they do. Of course, they passed a safety, they called it safety ordinance, and basically adopted all national forests like their management areas. So, you know, and that's just been a disaster. But, um, having to unload your gun, walk 100 foot off any road, path, or trail in the national forest to deer hunt or whatever. And then if you can go to move, you got to unload your gun, walk back to your vehicle, and then put it in a case and either latch it or zip it. And believe me, these national forest people's been giving them, tickets because their case was left unzipped an inch or 2 inch. It's just ridiculous stuff, and it's just been a constant battle. And luckily, and most of our national forests in the state of Mississippi, we can still run dogs. And well, uh, through the deer season, we have 39 days of deer hunting with dogs in the state of Mississippi. And
Did you say
and then
39 days?
39, that's correct. Yeah, they split it. It starts a Saturday before Thanksgiving, and depending on how it falls out, the first season sometimes is 10, 11 days, and it goes to December 1st, however that falls out. And then it picks back up on Christmas Eve, and then runs till somewhere around anywhere from January 19th to January 21st to, to meet 39 days. And this has just been you know it's one thing already. You got um, some anti dog hunting people in that national forest, and I don't know, we fought and fought and fought and tried to work with them, and we just can't get them to nobody to step up and bend on any of that. I mean, of course, the forest rangers, they can go out there and they can give you a ticket for a light bulb out, or expired tag, or whatever. And they got somebody. They told me there was a stop sign in the middle of the national forest where they up in the Camp Shelby area, and the guy didn't see it. They ran a stop sign and they pulled him over, and he didn't have proof of insurance, so they gave him a ticket. So, a lot of that stuff to me, and I understand the laws and we try to follow the laws, but they just make it just way, way out of bounds for hunting. And to me, it wasn't safe because down here in South Mississippi in those national forests, you can't walk 100 foot off of any road, path, or trail. You'd basically have to get down and crawl with the briars and the underbrush. So, that's one of the things that we disagreed with, uh, but we still battling with them on it. Don't know if we ever get it changed, but and then we had the Homachilla National Forest. They basically tried to do that Georgia bill with the dogs trespassing. If they got off the national forest, they'd write you a ticket. And that it was supposedly a pilot program. Well, I've never seen a pilot program run for 12 plus years, but it basically everybody just about gave up trying to dog hunt over there. And you had people going out catching their dogs and dragging them over on private property to get them a ticket, and they made you
That's
get
a that's something that I've seen a lot of, and I've
yeah,
had questions about that, about dogs that you'd see the GPS tracking system, the dog would be running, and all of a sudden the dog would just make a 90-degree turn and move to the left and go straight to the property line.
yep.
I've seen that several
I,
times.
I've had people call me about that, and but then you got some of those counties, of course, that goes to a justice court judge, and if they got a few big money people in their pocket, you guilty before you ever walk in there, whether you're guilty or not, you know. And
I got a
that
question. I got a
go ahead.
question about this 39-day deer season.
Hmm.
How long is deer season?
Uh, the basically the central part of the state north begins October 1st and runs to January 31st, and then the southern part starts October 15th and runs to February 15th. But yet we only got 39 days.
So, so I want to understand this. The deer season is several months long,
Yes,
and there's only 39 days that you can run dogs, and that's split into two different sections.
yep,
A
that's
couple of
correct.
weeks here and a couple of weeks there, and that's it.
That's correct.
And people are still complaining.
Oh yeah, yep,
Um, I've had a saying a long time that you cannot negotiate with people that do not believe you have a right to exist. Does that
yeah.
make sense to you?
Oh yeah, that does.
And it sounds like to me they don't believe you have a right to exist. I feel like that if anybody's getting a short stick here, it's you. Your phone went sideways on me.
Yeah, somebody was trying to call me. Let's see, it should pop up in just a second.
All right, but that's interesting because I've heard that idea floated around to split the season up like that. So what's the argument? Or are they saying that the dogs are interfering with them? Or I mean, literally what's the argument? If they've got multiple months to hunt in and you've only got a couple of weeks, what's the
Yeah,
argument? They want those weeks too?
yeah. Well, basically, they opened the gun season, uh, still hunting the same time, but of course, uh, October 1st in the north end starts out bow season. Then the gun season opens a Saturday before Thanksgiving. Well, then on December the 1st, Mississippi has changed. There used to be muzzle loading season for the from the 2nd to the 23rd. Well, now they've changed it to the gun of your choice on, except on some management areas or whatever. So, in other words, on most public or private land, you can hunt all that time with the gun of your choice, whether it be a 308, 30-06, whatever. It doesn't have to be a muzzle loader. And then the same thing. Somebody keeps calling. I'm sorry about that, but anyway.
So in North Carolina, season comes in about the second week of September. It comes in for bow season.
Yeah.
And you can bow hunt for several weeks. Then it switches to primitive weapons, basically muzzle loader season.
Mm-hmm.
And then about mid-October, about the second week of October, gun season comes in and you can start running dogs. And it's that way until basically January 1st.
Yeah.
Also, small game season comes in. So you've got rabbit dogs and you've got squirrel dogs. All that comes in about the 1st of October.
Right.
How about your
And
small game seasons? Do they I lost your picture again.
yeah, I'm coming back.
Your small game season. You got guys that rabbit hunt and squirrel hunt and stuff there? And I may have lost David, folks. I don't know what happened. I got a blank screen all of a sudden. So we'll just hang out here and see if he comes back. This is a good time to remind you that we are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're trying to get a YouTube channel going. We're not really big on YouTube yet, but we've got almost 70,000 followers on Facebook. So if you're reading something on Facebook about this, you've probably read something that we've written. And David's not back yet. All right, I readmitted David. Here he comes. There he is.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This thing just cut off on me.
I saw it. I thought you had ducked out on me there.
No, I had to come to town to where I could get better reception and internet service, but still we got some weather coming in, and I guess it kind of cut me off.
I hear you, man. So I see your phone bouncing around a little bit. Are you holding it?
Yeah.
I talked with two guys last night. One of them has the Bad Boars channel, and the other one is Long Spur Outfitters. Bad Boars out of Georgia, and Long Spurs out of West Virginia. It was
Okay.
Bad Boars' first ever video ever.
Really?
And he told me at the end of the thing, he said, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get me one of them little stands to hold my phone.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold it on my steering wheel.
He said, my arm is tired. My arm's tired. So it sounds like you got some of the same challenges we got, but I'm really perplexed about the 39-day hunting season and these others that are just months and months and months long, and the people aren't, it doesn't sound like they're willing to share.
That's correct. And we've asked our state legislators about it several times. I said, why can't we just split it up? And a lot of them, which they're against that, but some of our politicians said if it keeps on, that's what we need to do is, during dog season, you dog hunt. During steel season, you steel hunt. And any caught doing the other in between would be ticketed, and that would be fine with us because it's just. But then in one aspect, I think most of them would just sit there and patrol. That's the big issue that we got. They claim if dogs get off on somebody else's land, and that they complain and they want to try to file you for trespassing. But
right. I'm hearing that everywhere.
With the Garmins, I mean, I'm in a 13,000 acre dog hunting club, and we've gotten pretty much, if you can get in front of the dog or to access, we can stop them. I mean, we train them with those Garmins, with the tone and the vibrate, whatever, and it's pretty easy to stop them. It's when you lose connection on them, I guess, and at times is when they can get off you, out of you, onto private land or something without you knowing it. But as long as you got them connected, we do a good job at stopping them now.
So we're hunting 10,000 acres. So we're about the same size club. You got a little bit of acreage on me.
Yeah.
Which we've got land around our club that's not club land, but it belongs to my family.
Right.
So that's not a problem for us because it's family land. But we don't have many problems. Very, very few problems do we have because of similar things. We keep up with the dogs with the Garmins, and we've got enough property to run them on.
Mm-hmm.
And we do hunt. We do go to national forest and run sometimes, and we do go to state game lands and run sometimes. But I didn't go a single time this past year.
Yeah.
The year before last, we went to the national forest and ran. And it was kind of interesting. We got to the national forest, turned dogs loose, and we didn't want them to go anywhere near the highway. And the first thing they did was turn and go straight to the highway. One of my cousins turned his dogs loose, got back in his truck and drove right out of the game lands, right out to the highway, and sat out there and caught every one of his dogs.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where you say, well, they don't never do X, Y, Z, and then they go and never like they've never before. You know what I mean?
That's right. You know, and I don't know. I went and got on the game Mossy Oaks Gamekeepers podcast a year or so ago, and I guess they wanted to really drill me about, and that's what they kept saying. Well, I got 400 acres, butts up to you, you know, and I don't want your dogs on my land. And how can we eliminate that? I said, let's make us a road down between us. And I said, we can stop every one of them. And, you know, and pretty much, and what I said was true. You know, if
Right.
we can get there, we can stop them. I mean, that's the bottom line. It doesn't matter what they're running, we can stop them. And which, you know, I'm in the process of training some younger dogs. My older dogs got either too old or passed away or something. But, you know, I guess it's been 3 or 4 years ago. I had a pack of 8, and they ran together as a group so good and always packed up. And all I'd have to do is tone one of them and holler, and every one of them come running straight and jumping dog box. And then I could go down the road and turn them right back out, and they go back in there and go hunting again. But, you know, it takes a
But
lot of work to get
they're not
them
born like
dogs.
that.
That's right. That's right. It takes a lot of work to get them
They're not born like that.
to that point. And that's the other thing. You know, I tell about people that, you know, they get mad and, oh, they just shoot your dog. And then they say, well, your dog was trespassing, and, you know, so I just shot it. Well, you know, they don't realize what all you have to go through to get a dog to that point. And, you know, to a lot of hunters, that's just it. In some aspects, it feels just like they went out there and shot your kid, you know, and but and a lot of folks just don't understand that don't know
But
anything about hunting.
there's not a single state in the United States where it's legal to use deadly force to repel a trespasser of any kind.
That's right.
There's not. And a man up in Virginia learned that the hard way. I think week before last, might have been last week, but it was in the last couple of weeks he learned it the hard way.
Yeah.
Because the jury found him guilty of killing 3 hunting dogs, removing the collars, and he is right now sitting in prison doing 24 months.
Yeah.
And he got a 60-month sentence. So the rest of it's going to be suspended on probation if he can stay out of trouble. Yeah. He was ordered to pay restitution. He's got to pay for the dogs. He's got to pay for the collars. He had a nice job as an engineer, but now he's a convict.
Yeah.
There's a guy in Tennessee that back in September shot a boy's coon dog. And when I say boy, he's 21 years old. He rode the dog around in his truck like a child, had a seatbelt on it. Dog was his best friend. And shot his coon dog on wildlife management area. Now, the people that lived in this community had decided that all the land they could see was their property. And they posted it. And they even posted the public road, said it was a private road, and posted it. And he left his house and went outside and shot the dog on the public road where the dog wasn't doing anything wrong.
Right.
They charged him. It took a little bit to get him charged. They act like they didn't want to do nothing about it. But got him charged, went to trial, convicted on 2 felonies. Was told he would pay for the dog, told him it was $12,000 restitution for the dog. He said, man, ain't no dog worth that. And the judge told him, said, you're going to pay it. You're going to pay it.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. He hasn't paid it yet, but we'll see where that goes. But he is on probation and he is convicted of a couple of felonies. I don't understand the mentality. I really don't. It's not the way I was brought up, not the way I was raised.
Yeah.
So on that same token, I have people, when I talk to people, they tell me, say, oh, you just want to run your dogs everywhere. No, I got 10,000 acres to run my dogs on. I don't need them on your 20.
That's
I
right.
really don't need your 20 acres. But I'll tell you what I will do. If your 20 acres is next to mine, I'll give you access to my 10,000 if I can have access to your 20.
Yep.
So that's a deal for real. If you hunt and you're interested in hunting, and I got a property that's been managed since 1972 that's full of deer, and I give you access to it, might be something to consider, you know?
That's right.
Might be
Well,
something to consider.
well, that's what one thing I tell guys I've always done. You know, when we had a local hunting club, you know, where I live, and we went to all the landowners, and you know, we gave them full access. You know, told
Right.
them, you know, if you work with us, you can go on our 8,000 acres or 10,000 acres whenever you want to. We're gonna give you an honorary membership just to
We did the
try
same
to get
thing.
along with them, and that, you know, that's things that goes a long way, and you know, and I get some real good phone calls being I'm listed on the website, state president. I have people call me all the time. I don't know the people, but you know, one quick story: a man called me last year, and he said, "You the president of the Mississippi Hunting Dog Association?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he started telling me what county he was from in Mississippi, and he said, "I've had enough of these dogs." And you know, I just try to gather information by listening to them talk. And I said, "Sir, how much land you own?" He said, "I got 400 acres." I said, "Well, it sounds like you got cattle." He said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "These dogs run across my field through cattle." I said, "Well, who's the hunting club around you?" And he said, "Well, I butt up to a national forest on two sides of my 400 acres." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "So it's the same people?" He said, "Yes, same people over and over, over and over." I said, "It's they running your cows?" "Well, they run through my cows." I said, "Well, they running deer?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "So I'm just gonna start shooting all the dogs when they cross my fields." I said, "Well, sir," I said, I got some cattle too." And I said, "Price of cows is extremely high." And I said, "Have you ever went and talked to these guys?" And he's like, "No." And I said, "Why don't you just go talk to them?" I said, "They probably some pretty good guys." I said, "And have they ever shot across your field?" And he goes, "Come think of it, no." And I said, "So it sounds like they're respecting you pretty good. If you just go talk to them," I said, "because you know, you don't want to just go out and start shooting dogs." And I said, "And then bullets go flying, and all of a sudden, you know, you go to missing a cow here or there." I said, "That's not a very good trade." And I said, "I would just, if you could, go talk to him." He called me back. He said, "Boy, them is some good guys." And he said, "We get along good." And he said, "I don't have any problem with them." I said, "Well, see," I said, uh, "sometimes that's all it takes is just go have a talk with them, you know." And but yeah, I
And
get
if you're dealing
some
with rational, reasonable people, usually a conversation will take care of it. I
yeah,
mean, usually it
yeah,
will. The
that's right.
You mentioned that you got some cattle. We got cows. We got pigs. We got turkeys. We got all kinds of livestock.
Yeah,
We understand the livestock issue. And people
that's
say, "Oh,
right.
I can shoot a dog to defend my livestock." Well, we got two dog pens. One dog pen's at the pig farm, and the other dog pen is literally inside the cow pasture.
That's right.
So there's a barn inside the cow pasture, got the dog pens on it. And that's where some of the dogs are. They're inside the cow pasture. So how in the world do we possibly have a cow that's alive, right?
Yep.
Or a pig? And something else. My uncle that ran the family farm for years, he passed away probably about 10 years ago. But he told me, he said, I get along with my neighbors. I do everything I can to get along with my neighbors. He said, I understand that a $5 box of 22 long rifle can put me out of business.
Yeah.
He said, one $5 box will put me out of business. He said, I try and get along with my neighbors. If I have a problem, I talk to them. He said, if a neighbor's dog, we've never had it happen. He said, but if a neighbor's dog were to come over here and mess with one of my cows or one of my calves or something, I'd go talk to the neighbor about it.
Yeah.
We'd talk about how expensive that cow was. But it wouldn't be a standing over the corpse of his dog where I shot his dog. He said, because a $5 box, a 22 long rifle, will put me out of business.
Yep.
He had a lot of smarts there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. And that's what I try to explain to people. And true story, really what got me into doing the fox hunting, I guess that was in the early 90s. My father and I, we had 320 acres, and we was running about up to 200 mama cows at one time. And we lost 7 calves one year to coyotes. So
Right.
I went to gathering up hounds to run them coyotes away from them cows when they were calving. And this is a true story. And I went and started collecting some hounds. I got up to about 10 hounds. And when turkey season ended May 1st, those hounds, their job was I turn them loose 3 and 4 nights a week, and they were to go run them coyotes away from them cows. And them cows, when they started huddling up, I knew them coyotes was there, and them cows didn't pay any attention to them hounds. But boy, they watched them coyotes, and them hounds would go right through them cows and go straight to running them coyotes. And I did that for several years, almost 8, 10 years. And we had a big swamp, and it was probably about 4,000 acres of warehouser land around our place. We've surrounded 3 sides by it, and that's all they did. And I was working at the time, and during it, my father was retired. And when I'd come in the next day, he said, well, all them hounds should be back over at your dog yard. He said, they ran all night and all morning. And he said, they started trickling back about 11 o'clock. So I'd go over there and count them up. They'd all be back in their pen. I'd close the gate, let them rest a day, and come in the next evening and turn them back out again. And once I started doing that, we went for 10 more years. We never lost a calf from a coyote. But there was so many coyotes in that area. A cow go off in that back corner of the field to have a calf, and when she was in labor, the coyotes run up there and grab the calf. As soon as she got it out, before she could get up and run them off, they done got the calf under the fence and was eating on it. So that's what I used them for, to save our calf crop.
So you actually used hunting dogs to protect your livestock.
That's correct.
That's
And
a strong statement. I got
well,
a question about Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys? You mentioned fox hunting. Do you guys have fox pens?
We do. We have fox pens, and of course, in the forks of Grenada Lake in Grenada, Mississippi, we got the legislators designated that as a fox preserve, and that's where all the big outside field trials are held. We've had the nationals, the Chase Futurity and National Fox Hunt. It's end of October, 1st of November, and it's been going on since 1986 to current date.
Right.
So, and we got people come from. Sometimes we've had them from 26 different states and Canada there in Grenada, Mississippi, running those fox hunts. They got the All-American fox hunt there. It's a week-long fox hunt. They got to run 3 days, and they take the top 15% and rest on Thursday and run the finals on Friday. It's going to be held there the 1st of May. It's usually in February, but the ice storm that hit that part of North Mississippi shut that down this year, so they postponed it to May the 2nd. It starts there in Grenada. But then we have, I don't know, numerous fox pens, several big fox pens. They got one in Picayune, Mississippi. It's a 1,600-acre fenced enclosure. So they have hunts there. They got one in Pontotoc. They had a big one in Harrisville. I don't know if it's still going or not, since the previous owner passed away. But, and then they got a lot of small pens, and they got a new 500-acre pen, just out from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So in that area. So yeah, fox hunting is big, and that's where, during turkey season from usually the 8th or so of March, when youth turkey season opens, everybody's got to go to the fox pens till May the 1st.
Right.
And they can't run on the outside through turkey season. And after turkey season, then they can go back to running on the outside.
We don't have any restriction here about running on the outside during turkey season, but I usually don't.
Yeah.
Mainly because I've got some cousins that love to turkey hunt. So I don't. But there's no restriction on it, and the club doesn't even have a rule on it. So, but we do have a couple of fox pens that the family owns, so we got somewhere to go run the dogs if we want to. Do you have trouble with trespassers during turkey season?
Yeah.
That's our biggest problem with as far as trespassers go. Turkey season. Why aren't they trying to restrict that? I'm just curious.
I have no idea. I told them I used to turkey hunt, and but I tried to do it the right way. I respected property lines and landowners, but I told them I think there's more outlaws in turkey hunting than any hunting sport there is. But I don't know. I guess them guys, when they hear one gobbling, they just pay no attention to property lines. But and there's a lot of good ones do it the right way. I understand that. But
well, I'm just going to say that most of the guys that I know that turkey hunt are not a member of a hunting club and don't really own any property to speak of.
Yeah, well,
but they'll be all over social media here shortly, showing off their turkey that they got.
Yeah, that's right.
All I'm gonna say is I don't know where they killed the turkey at.
Yeah.
So I had another question about Mississippi, and it's somewhere rattling around in this head of mine. Fox pens was one of them. Turkey hunting. Oh, you're the president of the organization. You talk to wildlife. Do they tell you sometimes they don't have enough money to do what they don't have the funding to do what you're talking about? We don't have enough funding. We don't have enough funding. You ever hear that?
Oh yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
And when they come at me with that, I'm like, well, you got enough funding to do this other stuff that you want to do. You showed up at my hunting club the day after Christmas one year with a sergeant and 5 officers and basically raided us and
Yeah.
didn't write a single ticket.
Yeah.
They
They
wasn't
hit
them back
us.
either. But I mean, you had enough money to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. They hit
The
us
sergeant
this
had
year pretty
enough
hard.
money. The sergeant had enough money to come down to the hog pen one day while I was feeding the hogs and come walking down the path talking about he was going to check my hunting license. I said, well, I'm not hunting. I'm feeding the livestock. And he kind of looked at me kind of funny. I said, who called you anyway? I didn't call you to come back here. But I mean, they had enough funds to do that.
Yeah.
It was, the funny thing was it was turkey season and he saw a truck where he hadn't used to seeing one. So he went to check it out. So I wasn't too mad with him. But my point was that they had enough money to do that.
Oh yeah.
I asked him, did he want to help me feed the hogs? So
Yeah. Well, I laugh because I hear it all the time when I go to our commission meetings and where the wildlife fishery said, well, we got a problem with dog hunters. I said, well, send the officers out there. He said, well, you know how it is. Y'all got them radios. We can't check but one, and they notify the rest of them, so they all legal. I said, well, that's not our problem. I said, if you think somebody's doing something wrong, but I argue with them all the time. They sitting there. It seems like to me, our wildlife fisheries is constantly wanting to stop dog hunting. Well, I told them, I said, everybody out there dog hunting buys a license. And I've been begging them every year to put a poll out, or either when you buy a license, check the box whether you dog hunt or still hunt. And they don't want to do it because they know that dog hunters are probably the biggest license buyers in the state, and that's one of the places they get their revenue, other than the 8 million or whatever the legislator appropriates them.
So I
So,
wrote this article. It's called Unintended Consequences. It's on the Army of Orange page. And if you go to the page at the very top, there's a little search, there's a search icon. If you
yeah,
click that search icon and type in unintended consequences, it'll bring the article up for you. But the article was a hypothetical on what would happen if they ended hunting with dogs. And it took it out basically over a 10-year period.
yeah,
And I went over the different things that would be affected by it. And the interesting thing about it is I play a dumb redneck on the internet, but I actually did go to college, and I actually
yeah,
was an intelligence analyst for the U.S. government. I had some people actually this week that called me out on it and said, "Oh, you're full of it." So I took a picture in my office with
yeah.
with my commission and everything right behind my head, so they could read it. And I'm like, the receipts are hanging on the wall, cuz read them for yourself,
That's right.
And they start out with Federal Bureau of and United States military intelligence, and they're hanging right on the wall. I mean, they're there. But anyway, I did go to college. I did take economics. I took several economics classes to get my degree. And I approached it as an economics problem. Okay, so we're going to stop this. Well, this group of hunters, they go to this restaurant every morning and eat during hunting season and when they're training their dogs. Well, all of a sudden, they got no reason to go there. A
Yep.
lot of the guys that I know that hunt with dogs, if they banned hunting with dogs, they would quit hunting.
Yeah.
Because they don't care anything about killing a deer or whatever. They really just want to run the dogs. They enjoy
That's right.
training the dogs. They enjoy working with the dogs. I could care less whether I kill a deer or not.
Yep.
I did take 3 this year, mainly because I wanted to put some meat in. I like deer meat. And I killed 2 bucks. And both of them, when I shot them, I thought they were does.
Yeah.
But they were also running about 800 miles an hour when I pulled the trigger.
That's right.
So that's something else too. Folks need to know how to shoot.
Yeah.
I get called all the time to go retrieve a deer. I'm a licensed guide in North Carolina, and I can retrieve deer. They can pay me as a guide. I go out and retrieve a deer, and they'll tell me, "Oh, I shot the deer. I shot the deer. I shot it good." I get out there and start tracking it. I don't even put a dog on the ground first. I just start tracking what I'm looking at, and the blood trail to me is telling me they shot it in the leg. But I'll put a dog out, start tracking it with the dog, and you'd be surprised at the number of deer that I find that are still alive.
Yep.
That are not shot very well. And there's
That's
several
right.
I found that are, that are laid up somewhere, and I've found one, a guy walked past his deer 4 times and didn't see it. And I walked past it twice and didn't see it, but the dog went straight to it.
Yep.
So, but I said all that to say this. You said you wanted them to check whether they used a dog or not. North Carolina has that. And if you tag the deer, it says you got to tag it between game lands or private land, and then you tag it use of dogs or no use of dogs. Well, my question was, when my buddy that still hunts calls me and says, "Hey, I want you to come find my deer for me," and I go out there and put a dog on the ground, and I find his deer with that dog, and his deer's still alive, shouldn't he be checking use of dogs?
That's correct.
When we put that deer on the dog box, shouldn't he be checking use of dogs? Now, if the deer is crumpled up and we recover a dead deer, I say you probably don't need to check use of dogs. But when I get there and that deer's alive, when we're tracking a live deer with the dog, when I get out there, shouldn't he be checking use of dogs?
Oh yeah.
I think so too.
Yep.
These guys will argue left and right. Oh no, that's not use of dog. Then why is the dog involved?
Yeah.
It's an honest question, right?
That's right. Yep. Years ago, I had a dog. He was, I guess, one of them one in a lifetime. He got where he wouldn't from. I started noticing it when he was a year and a half old. Everything he jumped and ran was a buck. And
right. I had one of those.
He lived to be, well, he was right at 13 years old. Well, anyway, my oldest son, which I guess, he was probably 7, 8, 9, 10, on up to 14, 15. And then when I started letting him drive a little bit around the back roads and stuff, well, there was people calling me every stinking evening to come find this deer, come find this deer. And everybody knew how good Copper was, and that he could, if you hit it, he could find it. In fact, I went out there and he actually found and bayed deer that wasn't nothing wrong with. I don't know, but anyway, my son started whittling that little board every time we found a deer for somebody. Well, when he got to 115 on that board, I told him, I said, "Boy, we're going to change that 2x4 out over the dog yard. You done got so many notches in it, it's about to fall down." But anyway, and it just used to amaze me, even when feeding a deer was illegal. These people come get us. Can you come over here and find it? And then they'd like, "Well, don't look at that trough with all that corn and that sweet feed and all that in it, But anyway, I shot the deer. He was right there, and he ran to the right. Well, I walked the dog out there, and he started going left, and he was over there. He said, "I think I spotted some blood over here." And I'm like, "Well, I'm over here about 75 yards off your food plot down here." And I said, "I'm looking at an 8-point on the ground that the dog just found." So, and I tell him over and over, don't ever underestimate that dog, because he just wins. He would just stick his nose up in the air and start winding and go wherever he smelt the deer, buck deer or whatever. And I mean, he found does, he found bucks, all of it. But and it was just so many. It really would get frustrating sometimes, because once people heard about it, I mean, people was calling up that I didn't even know. I'd go out deer hunting all day and pull in at dark to unload dogs, and they'd come flying up there. hey, can you come find this deer? Come find this deer. Well, then I started sending my son. Well, he went and found 5 one night for 5 different people and found all 5 of them. And then after about a one deer season of that, he told me, he said, Daddy, I'm tired of going finding deer for people. I just start laughing about it. But yeah, you, and I've always had, you know, I had a good one this year, and she passed away, and just before she died, 3 days before she died, and we went and found a great big 8-point for a woman that shot her first deer still hunting, and we had to trail it about 400 yards and found it. But uh, yeah, I've always had dogs to find deer and help people, and I didn't mind helping them because a lot of times it changed some of them aspect about a dog, to
Right.
hey, these things are real useful, because they would have never found them um, probably without a dog, in my opinion, some of them. But
I had a dog named Lucky, and Lucky was very smart. If somebody would shoot a deer, or if we were running deer, if we were running and somebody took a shot at a deer and Lucky was in the pack, if that
yeah,
deer was down, Lucky would come out of the woods and come find me and lead me back to the deer.
no, that one's well worth it there.
And I got to where I would just say on the radio, Lucky has come out of the woods and got me. I'm getting ready to walk in here and get this deer. Y'all come on over here where I'm at. And I would start walking in there with a rope, and sure enough, there would be a deer.
Yeah,
He'd come get me.
that's amazing.
And I got Lucky's son, Lucky's daughter, and Lucky's grandchildren in my pen right now.
Yeah,
And his grandson, actually, it's his great grandson, I guess. His name's Chaos. And Chaos ran his own deer by himself when he was 5 months old.
yeah.
And my cousin killed a deer in front of Chaos. When Chaos was 5 months old, he run it right by himself. So there's a little bit about these genetics.
That's right.
So I got some high hopes for Chaos.
Yeah, sounds good.
So tell me a good story, and we're going to start putting a bow on this thing because it's getting a little late. It's done
All
got
right.
dark there where you are. It's been dark here. So
Yeah,
tell me a good
yeah.
story, David.
Oh, uh, well, I guess one good story I had fun with was it was a neighboring dog hunting club, and I had a dog called Slim Jim, and which he went back top and bottom to copper. Well, he was pretty good at trailing and finding deer or whatever. Well, this neighboring dog hunting club, uh, they said, "Boy, we shot a big one. We shot a big one." They said, "We can't find him. We can't find him. We guess we found, some bone and we found some blood, but we can't find a dog to find him." So I ride over there, which has been about an hour, and they said I unloaded that dog, and they said, "Well, I ain't no walker dog gonna find this deer. We done put blue ticks, curs, red bones, and they ain't gonna find a walker dog ain't gonna find this thing." So anyway, they uh I turned Slim Jim loose. I said, "Get ahead." I said, "Find him." And he went across there and he smelled. And I know how he reacts, and when he smelled and he wagged that tail, and I told him, well, then he stopped to take a leak. Of course, then they started making fun jokes, that these naysayers from the other club, oh, he just said tinkle on it, he don't know where that deer's at. Well, when he went on, he got across the little cutover and hit the bigger timber. and he triple barked. And I turned around and looked at him. I said, I thought y'all hit this deer good. I said, he's fixing to jump that deer. And when he triple barked, and sure enough, he jumped and he barked every breath running to the creek. Well, then I heard him go to bed on the creek. Well, some guy took off with a Bowie knife, no gun or nothing. And I said, if that deer's healthy enough to jump up and run, a Bowie knife ain't gonna do him a whole lot of good. So they were the boys standing there by me, and I told Briar Patch, I tossed him my shotgun. I said, catch him. I said, before that boy gets there with that knife. So he ran in there, and they come back, and both of them said, man, we ain't never seen nothing like that dog. So that dog he went in there on that buck and said the buck had him in the air between his horns, slinging from side to side. His horns got up under his collar, and we thought it was going to kill the dog. And they said directly he reached down and grabbed him back at the neck and went to chewing on him and took the buck down in the creek and drug him underwater. And he said the dog pulled the deer underwater. And they said, and then my buddy, he ran in there. He said, I ran in there. I thought he was going to drown. And he said, when I got in there, I pulled the deer up. And he said, Slim Jim come up. And he said, the deer tried to take off. So he said, I pulled my knife out to finish the deer off. And he said, Slim Jim, as soon as he cut him or stuck him with a knife, he said he took him down in the water, and then the other boy went in there to grab him, and Slim Jim turned around and looked at him like, you ain't touching this deer. It's my deer. So, but that was it was pretty good. And then when they drug him out, they all was just amazed. They said they ain't never seen a dog attack a deer like that. But he was a pretty special hound. Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you a story about my youth. Can you see my background?
Yes, sir.
That's me.
That's pretty good.
See that deer?
Yes, sir.
That's my first deer I ever killed. That's me standing there with my deer.
Yeah.
So I took that deer sitting in my dad's lap on the back of the dog box with a 410 single shot shotgun. So I'm going to tell you a story about hunting with my dad when I was about that size right there. I had my own CB handle. They called me Skeeter.
Yeah.
That's short for mosquito because I was as aggravating as a mosquito. So I was Skeeter. So we're down in Craven County, which is a coastal county in North Carolina. And there was a bunch of deer down there. At the time, you couldn't shoot a doe. It had to be a buck.
Mm-hmm.
There were doe days. I think there were 2 a year. And that was it. So dogs are running. They're in the middle of the club in the biggest block on the club. And it's a big cut over. I don't know what you call it where you're from, where it's been logged.
Yeah, we just cut over. Mm-hmm.
Cut over. And there's some log piles out there. So the dogs are out there running in that cut over, and there's saplings out there, and there's grass, and you really can't see. So Dad and I walked out to the to one of the log piles and climbed up on the log pile. Dad had a rifle, and I had my single shot Stevens 410. Now I had my shotgun, but I had to carry it broke open, and Daddy had my shotgun shell in his shirt pocket. I wasn't allowed to have my shotgun shell. So we got up. I lost you. You must have got a phone call.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead. I'm
sitting there on the log pile with my daddy. The deer comes, and the deer's running straight to us, and it's about a 6-point buck.
Yeah.
And Dad reaches in his shirt pocket, takes out my shotgun shell, hands it to me, and I'm trying to get it in the shotgun, and he's trying to help me, and I dropped it, and it went to the bottom of that log pile.
Oh, mercy.
And that's the only shotgun shell we had. I didn't have but one. That was it. So I dropped it, and I lost it. That was gone. So Dad had a rifle, and it was my brother's rifle. He didn't have his rifle with him. He had my brother's rifle. It was a 243 Winchester Model 100. The only semi-automatic rifle with a full wood stock. So the foregrip and the stock are all built together. So Dad lines up that deer with that rifle, shoots, hits the deer, doesn't kill it. Rifle jammed. He reached up and grabbed the bolt, pulled the bolt back to clear the jam, and the charging handle on the bolt broke off in his hand.
Goodness.
So now we got two guns. Neither one of them will fire. And we got a deer that's wounded but still on its feet. There with us. The deer's still running. My daddy came down off the log pile, got in front of that deer, and when that deer ran up to him, he grabbed that deer by the antlers and wrestled that deer to the ground.
Mercy.
I'm 6'4". I'm a pretty big guy. But I'm not as big as my dad was. My dad was a horse. You see down at the bottom of my screen there, it says Sasquatch.
Yeah.
That's my radio call sign because I look like a Sasquatch. But my dad was a horse, buddy. But he grabbed that deer and wrestled that deer to the ground. But he realized quickly that he had made a serious mistake because he couldn't get his hand in his pocket and get his knife out, and he couldn't let the deer go because that deer was more than he could handle, really.
Yeah.
So he tells me, he says, go to the truck, get on the radio, and call for some help. So I climbed down off the log pile, ran back to the truck, got on the radio, and called and said, Dad needs some help over here with a deer. Well, my 5-year-old self wasn't really clear on what Dad needed. So 2 or 3 of the men from the hunting club came up, and they could see my dad out there in the grass, and they could see his head pop up every once in a while where him and that deer were wrestling. So he's close enough that he can holler back to him, and he says, come out here and kill this deer. And they're like, you ain't got no deer out there. He said, I'm holding the deer, come kill it. I need you to come get this deer. So 2 grown men and a 5-year-old walked back out there. And you know, neither one of them grown men took a gun with them.
Yeah,
They didn't. And they got out there, and one member of the club, his name was, we called him Shag. Shag was a good old guy. Shag passed away about 2 years ago. I miss Shag. But Shag reached his hand in his pocket and pulled out about a half dull old timer knife and said, I'll just cut his throat. And he moved that knife, and that deer went, Mah! But it didn't even scratch the deer.
Yeah.
And my dad's still wrestling this deer, and they're still bopping up and down. It's been about 10 minutes at this point, and my dad is very, very tired. So the other one of my dad's friends that was there, his name was Philip. Mr. Phillip went back to the truck, got a 30-30, came back, shot the deer.
Yeah.
So that ended that. Then we had to drag the deer out. You know, it's time, you know, after you shoot the deer, that's when the work really starts. That's when you got to clean the deer and so on and so forth. So anyway, that story's told, and some people don't believe it, but it really happened. But I will tell you this. My daddy died when he was 83 years old.
Yeah.
And I was 5 when this happened. So this happened a long time ago. But I'll tell you something he never did again. He never grabbed a hold of a live deer ever again.
Yeah. Yeah. They a handful. I've seen it happen.
Yes, sir. And I'll tell you something else. I was 5 at the time, but I learned from my dad's mistake, and I've never done it either.
Yeah.
I carry a pistol, and if I get the one that's alive, I go and take care of business right to start with. I don't want no part. I don't want that smoke. I
Yeah.
saw what happened. I saw it firsthand. Strongest man I've ever known wrestling that deer, and I thought the deer was going to get the best of him. So
Yeah.
I learned. It has been so great having you on tonight, David. I've enjoyed talking with you. We talked serious. We told some stories. We had a good time.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything that you feel like we didn't cover that we need to cover?
No, that sounded great to me. I enjoyed it. I thank you so much for inviting me on your show there.
All right, I'm gonna tell you the same thing I tell everybody else. If you feel like coming to Eastern North Carolina, come on, we'll go hunting. We'll hunt something. We bear hunt on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we deer hunt on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday during the season.
Wow, that sounds pretty good there. Sounds good.
So come on, we'll give it a shot.
All right.
Now I got family. Before we go, I got family in Meridian, Mississippi.
Okay. Well, I go right through Meridian, going to my hunting camp there in Sugarlock.
Okay.
So, yeah. But
you're a very popular man tonight. That phone has been ringing off the hook.
yeah, my granddaughter's birthday, and I think they've been calling me, waiting for me to get over there to see her for her birthday. Papa's got to get over there.
Well, you go on and go see your granddaughter, and thanks for being on. We'll do it again sometime. Maybe we'll get on there like we did last night and have 2 or 3 people talking.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I record these things and I post them live, and then I will post shorts out of the video.
Okay.
Also, but the entire video will be posted just like we recorded it on YouTube, and then there'll be shorts and there'll be other edits as well. But the entire video will be posted just like we recorded it.
All right, sounds great.
Thanks a lot, David. Thanks for being on, and you take care.
Thank you for inviting me. If you ever get down to Mississippi, you come hunting with me.
We'll do, and don't think I won't now.
Because
I'll call my cousin up in Meridian and say, "Hey, I'm coming."
That's right. Well, we only 40 miles from Meridian.
All right. Well, have a good one.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.